What's the favorite roast I've said to someone in chat? I don't know. I usually just say that they're an idiot and then they get shot. That's about it. Like Obama always goes with the classic of, this is why you disappointed your father when you came out of the womb, right? That's like, he goes with that kind of shit. And I feel like that's just a waste of time. I just shoot him and then you just move on. That reminds me of one time I was discussing with Obama about playing a D&D character, and he's like, I got a concept for a character. And I, obviously that's very interesting to me. I was like, all right, Obama, what is it? And he goes, well, he's a father figure. And like already I'm like, okay, well, sure. He's a father figure character. What's he like? And Obama's like, well, he's like, I want to make him like a fucking chef. And he's like, he's got a frying pan and he whoops your ass and he hands out fatherly advice. And I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. And then he goes, I got another idea for a character. And I was like, oh, I thought your first idea was pretty good. Let me hear it. And he goes, so he's a father figure. And I was like, uh-huh. And he's like, yeah. And he's got like an ironing board and he whoops your ass for not doing your chores. And I was like, this sounds awfully familiar to the last character you described to me. Sounds like really similar. And he's like, wouldn't that shit be good though? And I was like, well, yeah, probably. So I think the point is that he thinks of the chat room as his children and y'all need an ass beating. I wish I could explain to you. There are so many people in the FGC Moste that have talked to me about playing D&D. Because I told Cloud805 that I was going to play a character in D&D that was my impression of him. He's like, hey guys. Like he was going to sound just like you, Cloud. I told him that. And Cloud was like, oh, you guys are playing D&D? I'm trying to play D&D. So I was talking to him about it. This is at the Summit of Power. And while I was there, Sonic said something about playing D&D. And so I began to basically explain how D&D works. I was like, yeah, it's like medieval times kind of, like, you know what I mean? You pick your class. You pick what like race you're going to be, like elves and dwarves and humans, whatever. That's just how it works or whatever. And then you make a character, and whatever the character's background is, however they act, you just role play them. And Sonic just turns and looks at me and goes, I'm a furry. I RP every day of my life. I would be way too good at this. And I was like, that's an excellent point I had never considered. It makes perfect sense. And Ryan Hunter was like, oh, I've always like been trying to play, but I've never had anybody to play with. We got to do like an FGC one shot where we're all fighting game characters coming to beat all the fighting game bosses and build it out. I got to hit up Ryan Hunter and Cloud and everybody. Tasty Steve. Tasty Steve tried to ban you from Anime Illuminati because you said Guilty Gear needs more grapplers. Tasty Steve doesn't know how to operate a keyboard, so you're lucky that he didn't ban you. On the topic of Tasty Steve, I've talked about this before. Now, if you don't know, the Forgotten Kazama is Steve's old username. So I played a character called the Forgotten One, and he's a Kenku. And if you don't know how Kenkus work, Kenkus can only get gifted subs, thanks to Random BN dropping the big gifted. Thanks very much. Kenkus can only speak by mimicking noises they've heard other people make. So if my voice goes like, hey, what up, guys? Then a Kenku that can hear me, which is like a bird person, they could repeat in perfect mimicry, hey, what up, guys, in Sajam's voice. And the way I played this Kenku is that the only way I spoke was by
blue stuff.
Clicking the Tasty Steve soundboard. And I would run up to people as this bird person. I'd be like, all right, I make 2 attacks.
Oh.
And I would use the soundboard for everything. We did a Halloween one-shot where this is how I played the character. So like Hanzo's character would run up and be like, which way should we go, left or right? And I'd be like,
God, I love this stage. Let's go.
And he's like, what? And I would just take off to the left. Like the battle would finish, right? And then he'd be like, are you guys all right? You got health? Do you need healing? And I was like,
that was a good ass set right there. That was quality, baby.
And then we walked up to a weapon. And this weapon was like a mace. And I'm a monk, so I can only use unarmored strikes, right? And Hanzo's like, hey, do you want this mace? And I clicked this one.
I didn't see what I liked at this yard sale. I'm going to try another one.
And I just kept walking. And I just walked by the mace. And this guy Hanzo broke. Like he couldn't keep it together. Every time someone missed me.
Oh my God, the spacing.
It was so good. And I only responded with the soundboard because it's a Kenku. They can't speak naturally. They can only use mimicry. I would like murk someone.
Is he dead though? Yeah, he's dead.
Oh man, it was good. I got real good at using this soundboard. Yeah, someone tries to grapple me, like try to do a grapple so I can't move and I break out.
Oh, get off of me.
And Hanzo, so Hanzo's character was insane. And he was really funny. But like, I was breaking him so bad that he was like struggling to stay in character because his character is like so insane. But then I'm over here just like, fucking
Oh, let's go.
running into rooms and shit, and he's just like laughing himself. He couldn't keep it together. Yeah, if we ever play a one shot, I'll bring the Forgotten One back. I'll be like, I knock him prone, I take out his legs.
Oh, D-Bug.
It was like, there's a Tasty Steve soundboard button for every D&D circumstance you could run into. I'm telling you right now, there's always something. I don't remember what kind of monk he was, to be honest with you. I don't remember what kind of monk. I think maybe a shadow monk, because he's like a ninja, and Steve loves ninjas. Shadow monks can like teleport through shadows. If Steve ever plays with us, Ringe and I were talking about it, and we're gonna make like a custom subclass where he's like a monk or like a barbarian or something, and he gains power by the amount of hype there is in the world. So when people make noise, he becomes more powerful. So maybe like a warlock or something that's like, his power is that his patron is like noise. And so he gains power by more noise being made from humans in the world. That shit's tight.